That reversal by the Hallmark channel announcing overnight that it will run a commercial showing two women kissing, and that was in the face of fierce backlash for pulling the ad. Will Reeve is here with more on this story. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Cecilia. The ad from wedding planning website Zola featured a lesbian couple kissing at the altar, which drew the ire of conservative groups. So Hallmark then pulled that ad from its channel, saying that it had become a distraction. That blew the whole thing up, and now, under pressure, Hallmark is apologizing and trying to unmake its mess.
Do you think Zola could have made planning your perfect wedding easier?
We do.
This morning, after igniting a controversy by pulling ads from wedding planning website Zola featuring a same-sex couple kissing at their wedding, the Hallmark channel is reversing course, now open to putting the commercials back on the air.
The U.S. point man on North Korea, Stephen Biegun, is in Seoul for talks with his South Korean counterpart. And Biegun has suggested a meeting between Washington and Pyongyang to get their negotiations back on track. The U.S., he says, has no deadline. It will not give up on the talks, and it's time to get some work done.
U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, says Washington will not give up on negotiations with Pyongyang. In a press conference following talks with his South Korean counterpart BeiDou on Monday, Biegun pointed out they haven't seen as much progress as they'd hoped, but that the door is open for dialogue. Referring to the North year-end deadline it is set for the U.S. to be more flexible in nuclear negotiations, he said that Washington has no deadline.
Let me be absolutely clear. The United States does not have a deadline. We have a goal.
A constitutional crisis is looming in Iraq's parliament. December the 1st was when MPs accepted the resignation of outgoing Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi. President Barham Saleh has until December the 16th to nominate his replacement, who will have to form a new government within 30 days.
If the deadline is not met, we will be facing a violation of the Constitution. That means all options are available, including holding the president responsible for breaking the law, as well as early elections.
Complicating things further, one of the largest political coalition blocs in parliament, which includes the Qais Khazali party, say they are not going to support any candidate proposed by the president.
To Hong Kong now, where police have been briefing the media on the weekend violence in the city's shopping districts. Officers say they would not allow malls to become lawless areas.
Yesterday afternoon in Telford Plaza, Kowloon Bay, protesters went to the so-called target restaurants and shops, requesting customers to leave. They also put graffitis on the external wall. Their acts were despicable. They also breached the laws of Hong Kong. The police would not allow shopping malls to become lawless areas. In the sight of violent incidents, the police on different occasions entered the shopping malls to take arrest actions. For example, we arrested altogether 12 people in Newtown Plaza, Sha Tin.
Seeking China's assurances while the dispute at home rages on. Hong Kong's embattled leader Carrie Lam met with Chinese top brass on Monday, who in turn offered their unwavering support. President Xi Jinping praising her efforts in handling the demonstrations.
Our determination to maintain sovereignty, security and development interests is unshakable. Our determination to implement the one country, two systems is unshakable. And our determination to oppose the intervention of any foreign forces into the Hong Kong affairs is unshakable.
This was Lam's first visit to the Chinese capital since pro-democracy candidates swept local Hong Kong elections last month in a rebuke against her handling of over half a year of anti-government protests.
blast off thrusting China into a new era. A Long March 3B rocket carries the last 2 satellites of the BDS-3 core constellation. Its successful flight on Monday officially sends the 52nd and 53rd BDS satellites into orbit. During the past 24 months, China has intensively launched 30 BDS satellites into orbit. BDS-3 consists of 3 kinds of satellites: medium Earth orbit, inclined geosynchronous orbit, and geostationary Earth orbit satellites.
A survey of funeral homes in Nova Scotia has revealed some surprising details. Across the province, hundreds of cremated remains have gone unclaimed, some for decades. As Yvonne Colbert reports, the problem is, unlike other provinces, Nova Scotia doesn't have any rules to deal with the issue.
The survey was prompted by some funeral home owners asking the province how long they should keep unclaimed cremated remains. It found there were 727 remains sitting on funeral home shelves in Nova Scotia. One of them there since the 1950s, 2 others from the 60s. One funeral home has 123 of them. Nova Scotia and the other Atlantic provinces have no legislation governing how long remains must be kept or what funeral homes should do with them.
You can look to Greenland to get an idea of the urgency to address the climate crisis. This past summer saw an historic ice melt. According to a new study by nearly 100 scientists from around the world, including Memorial University in Newfoundland and Labrador, Greenland's ice is melting much faster than it was 3 decades ago. And as Ross Lord explains, the researchers predict sea levels will rise even higher than previously forecast.
Scientists are calling it the most complete assessment of Greenland ice loss that's ever been captured. Dozens of separate surveys computed changes in ice mass using data from 11 different satellite missions. The findings show Greenland has lost 3.8 trillion tons of ice since 1992. It says that's enough to push global sea levels up by 10.6 millimeters. The study says there's been a 7-fold increase in ice loss within 3 decades, from 33 billion tons a year in the 1990s to 254 billion tons a year in the last 10 years.
We're going to turn now to the investigation at the nation's top military academies. Students from both West Point and the Naval Academy under scrutiny for flashing what looked like a white power symbol on live TV during the Army-Navy football game. Stephanie Ramos is here with the latest. Good morning, Stephanie.
George, good morning. The play from the Army-Navy football game in Philadelphia Saturday is getting the biggest reaction. West Point Military Academy staff and Navy Academy officials are investigating this moment right here where cadets at the game flashed this hand gesture, which is widely known as the white power symbol. It happened as an ESPN broadcaster was reporting live during the game. At least 4 cadets put up that symbol. Now, West Point is releasing a statement saying West Point is looking into the matter. At this time, we do not know the intent of the cadets. Now, the U.S. Naval Academy is also out with a statement saying it is also investigating and will hold those involved accountable.